So I got that one. I don't need to get this one, but I need to
stick it right in there. Yeah, that would work.
Beautiful.
One of the ways that can be done this without welding is take your fitting, put it in your vise. So you cut the fitting and take some pliers. So you can take your cut off end, squeeze it down real good.
Let's say you might need.
And now you have a completely closed off, and that can be reassembled as it still swivels right back into the hole where it came from. You're not going to get any dirt in or out of that. But what we're going to do is go ahead and weld them shut. So we want to get rid of that tube completely.
And so what he's doing right now is he's putting these bolts in here and he's knocking out these tubes that we had cut off so that it's just the finished product of one of these that will be completely welded shut. So if we can weld bolts instead of having to weld the actual rack, we're going to be in some good business here. So that is currently what we were in the process of doing. It was simple. You cut the feed-through pipe. You can crimp the ends of it, and that'll create a seal, but it doesn't look as good. And plus, we want absolutely no chance of these failing, so we're going to weld these completely closed. And then we're going to reassemble everything, and we'll officially have a depowered steering rack after pumping this baby full of grease. Now, there are a lot of people who are running depowered steering racks that have great success, and they say they absolutely love it. I actually have not been able to find someone who is mad that they deleted their power steering. So yeah, it seems to be a worthy mod that you can do at home, or if you have a buddy that has a garage and some free time, you know, it's something that you can do within a day. Given our job is a little bit easy here because I have my engine and transmission pulled on the Protege.
That's something you want to try to tackle with the engine in. I don't know how that's going to go.
Yeah.
It might be easier to actually disconnect at the steering knuckle up here and remove the whole rack with the subframe underneath removed to get to it. But I highly recommend if you're pulling your engine out, shave the bay. This is definitely a good mod to tackle while you're in there anyway.
Yeah. Now, because there are a lot of people who end up deleting their AC in this car, and the AC and power steering both run on the same belt because the power steering is the tensioner for that belt. It's good to just go ahead and delete that as well because it's going to free up a lot of space that you can use for other modifications that your bay, you know, would enjoy.
Again, nice welding, closed off, thread tape, and the way that this lines up is right like this. So when the shaft from the steering column goes into here, it's got a little indent where the shaft goes all the way through and supports to the bottom side, and then that shaft is what pivots on here to move this back and forth like we were describing earlier. So we're going to go ahead and let's go ahead and pack this thing with a bunch of grease on it, and we're using Moly lube because it's high impact, it's long lasting, it has wear protection, it has lubricant properties, everything that is exactly what is needed for this kind of thing. Now we're putting a generous amount of lube inside where the drive, what's that called, steering column input shaft is going to go. And be sure to treat this one with the same love. because that seal right there inside is what's gonna keep this thing lasting for a long time.
Love having 4,000 disposable gloves.
The way this is going back together, you got your bronze area here that's going to ride against the shaft inside there. You got to make sure that the direction that this goes in, it's going to seat down in there real good.
Right.
Okay, and then the spring goes in next.
Yeah, that's good. Now you got yours.
So now we have
2 identical pieces of wire
that
we are going to use to seal these boots in place. So, alright, again, so going over this, we have removed this piece from the car. Music's got me feeling so free. Come on, celebrate. Alright. Yeah, we're probably just gonna have to take that completely out.
okay. Look at that.
Would you fucking look at that?
Oh my.
Alright, update as far as putting the whole assembly back together. So in order to put the steering column shaft into the rack and pinion, you're going to have to remove the tensioner spring in order to get this back in, because otherwise it applies too much pressure on the inner shaft to allow the guide rod to come back in. So you're going to want to have this removed from the car, because no way you're going to put this assembled unit back in there with this still attached to the car. Then the final piece is attaching the tensioner, and then from there we will put this back in the vehicle, attaching it to the actual steering.
You see that, there's a top spline and a bottom spline, right?
Right.
In between those 2 splines is where the bolt goes.
Oh.
So you have to push it up in there. You're straight now on the steering wheel.
Okay. Yeah, I don't like this boot though.
Push that up in there. Yeah, I know it. Just far enough to get, because that has to go in first and then the bolt can go through. Otherwise the bolt won't go in. Might be why they use the washer.